Captain Aric's ship glided through the violet clouds of Zira's atmosphere, its engines humming softly as it descended toward the planet's capital. From above, the city shimmered like a jewel under the sun, with tall towers that spiraled into the sky and streets that seemed to glow with energy. The air below sparkled faintly, and massive floating gardens drifted gently between the buildings. Humans had never seen anything like it before. The planet's beauty was almost overwhelming, and Aric felt a strange mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had visited many planets in his lifetime, but something about Zira felt different. As the shuttle landed in the central plaza, he stepped out and adjusted his uniform. His boots made a soft thud on the metallic surface. Around him, aliens of various shapes moved gracefully, their bodies glowing faintly under Zira's sunlight. Many had long, elegant limbs, and their eyes shimmered like polished gems. Aric couldn't help but feel small even as he straightened his back. He reminded himself that humans had always survived and adapted no matter the odds. "All right, Aric," he muttered to himself. "Let's make a good first impression." He knew the Queen was waiting. Queen Lysera, ruler of Zira, was famous across galaxies for her intelligence and power. She had a reputation for being strict and unyielding, but also fair. To earn her trust would mean humans could finally prove their worth in this part of the universe. Aric had trained for this moment for years, but nothing could prepare him for meeting her in person. A soft chime echoed through the plaza, and a group of royal attendants approached him. They were tall, dressed in flowing robes that reflected the sunlight, and their eyes were calm but watchful. "Captain Aric," one of them spoke in a melodic voice, "the Queen awaits your presence." Aric nodded. "Lead the way," he said, his voice steady even though his heart raced. They moved through a series of arches and corridors, each more beautiful than the last. The walls seemed alive with shifting colors, and the floors were polished to a shine that reflected the sky above. Every step reminded Aric of the vast differences between humans and Zirans. Yet as he observed the flowing elegance of the architecture, he noticed something that made him proud. The craftsmanship reminded him of human creativity. Humans might not have glowing cities, but they built things that endured, that inspired, and that solved problems in ways no one else could. He smiled to himself. Finally, they arrived at the throne room. It was massive, stretching far above his head, and the ceiling seemed to hold stars within it. At the center, elevated on a platform of crystalline steps, sat Queen Lysera. She wore a gown that shimmered like liquid light, and her crown sparkled with gems that seemed to change color as she moved. Her eyes locked on Aric immediately, sharp and penetrating. Aric took a deep breath and gave a small bow. "Your Majesty," he said, "it is an honor to be here." The Queen's gaze did not soften. She leaned forward slightly, tilting her head. "Honor?" she said, her voice calm but firm. "You speak freely for a human, Captain. You are not cautious like others of your kind." Aric felt a rush of adrenaline. He had expected a formal greeting, but not this direct challenge. He forced a grin. "Well, Your Majesty, humans have a habit of speaking what we think. Sometimes it works, sometimes not so much." The Queen's eyes narrowed, and a flicker of amusement crossed her face. "You are bold," she said. "Perhaps too bold." Aric took a careful step forward. "I prefer to think of it as honest." He gave a small bow, more playful than respectful this time, hoping to ease the tension. "Hey, Queen," he added lightly, unable to resist the humor. "I hope you don't mind a little human charm." For a moment, the room was silent. Then Queen Lysera's gaze sharpened, and she leaned closer. "Watch your mouth, human," she said, her tone fierce. Yet despite the warning, there was a trace of curiosity in her eyes. Humans were strange creatures. They were unpredictable. They spoke boldly, and somehow they dared to mix humor with diplomacy. Aric felt a thrill run through him. This was no ordinary meeting. He had caught her attention, and that alone was a victory. He bowed slightly again. "Understood, Your Majesty. I will tread carefully." Mostly. The Queen stood, her full height commanding the room. "Captain Aric, Zira has observed humans for many cycles. You have traveled far, yet you still act with the unpredictability your kind is known for. That is unusual." Aric smiled, letting himself relax just a little. Unusual can be good sometimes. It keeps life interesting. Lysera's eyes studied him for a long moment, as though she were weighing his very being. Finally, she gestured for him to follow. "Then come," she said. "I will show you what Zira values." Perhaps if you understand our ways, you may survive our trials. Arik raised an eyebrow. Trials, that sounds fun. The queen gave a small, almost imperceptible smile, though her expression remained serious. Do not mistake amusement for weakness, human. Zyra's trials are not entertainment. They are tests of mind, character, and adaptability. Fail, and your presence here will be regretted. Arik's heart skipped a beat, but he maintained his calm demeanor. Noted, Your Majesty. I'm ready to learn. They moved through corridors lined with glowing panels, strange plants that pulsed with energy, and windows showing the vast city below. Arik marveled at every detail. The air was thick with energy, yet it felt alive, almost welcoming. He realized that this planet was not just advanced, it was in harmony with itself. Humans often struggled to find balance, but here, the Zyrans had perfected it. Finally, they arrived at a grand garden, suspended high above the city. Streams of light filtered through floating crystals, casting rainbows across the walkway. Arik could hear water trickling from fountains, and the scent of alien flowers filled the air. Birds, or creatures that resembled them, fluttered gently from tree to tree. Here, Lizara said, gesturing at the scene, is one part of what we protect. Our civilization depends on harmony, wisdom, and intelligence. Every creature, every plant, every machine plays its part. Humans, you often struggle with balance, yet you survive and thrive in ways we do not always understand. Arik nodded, looking around in awe. It's beautiful, unlike anything I've seen. And humans might have their flaws, but we're adaptable. We can learn, we can create, and we never give up. The Queen's eyes softened slightly. Perhaps that is why you are here, Captain. We will see if your kind can match your words with actions. Arik took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. He knew that every step from here on would be a test, not just of skill, but of humanity itself. And yet he felt proud. Humans were far from perfect, but they had something the galaxy often underestimated: resilience, courage, and a spark of ingenuity that could shine in even the darkest corners. Then I suppose, he said with a grin, the real adventure begins now. Lysera's lips curved slightly in acknowledgement, and for the first time, Arik felt that the Queen might genuinely enjoy watching him navigate the challenges ahead. Humans were strange, bold, and unpredictable, and somehow, that made them worth noticing. As the sun set over Zira, casting long, golden rays over the floating gardens and crystalline towers, Arik looked toward the horizon. He was far from home, on a planet that could have rejected him at a glance. Yet here he stood, facing one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, armed only with his wits, courage, and human spirit. And somehow that felt enough. The first part of his journey was complete, but Arik knew the real tests were only beginning. And he was ready to prove that humans, no matter how small or strange they might seem, could shine brightly among the stars. Captain Arik had barely caught his breath after his first meeting with Queen Lysera when he realized that Zira's trials would not be easy. The Queen had spoken of tests of mind, character, and adaptability, and Arik could already feel the weight of expectation pressing on his shoulders. Yet he also felt a thrill he hadn't experienced in a long time. Humans thrived on challenges, and somehow he knew this would be no exception. The next morning, he was summoned to a vast chamber at the heart of the palace. It was circular, with a high-domed ceiling that reflected light in patterns that shifted like waves. Strange symbols were etched across the floor, glowing faintly. The walls were lined with devices that seemed part machine, part organism, and in the center stood a table with what looked like a puzzle of intricate design. Captain Arik. Queen Lysera's voice echoed across the chamber. Calm and commanding, your first test begins now. This is not a contest of strength, but of understanding. The puzzle before you represents a challenge Zira has faced for cycles. Solve it, and you demonstrate insight and adaptability. Fail, and you prove your kind is not ready for cooperation. Arik studied the puzzle carefully. It was made of multiple layers, each one containing shapes, symbols, and moving parts. His mind raced. Humans were problem solvers, and puzzles like this, though unfamiliar, ignited his creativity. He carefully touched one of the pieces, noting how it reacted. Unlike anything he had seen before, it responded to thought as well as action. He began to experiment, moving pieces, observing patterns, and adjusting strategies. Hours passed, but Arik remained focused, occasionally muttering to himself. Come on, think. Humans don't give up this easily, he whispered. As he worked, he noticed something remarkable. Some of the pieces seemed to react to his attitude and intent. When he hesitated, they resisted. When he acted boldly but thoughtfully, they aligned. He realized this puzzle was not just mechanical. It was a reflection of how one approached challenges, a test of patience, observation, and creativity. Finally, with a careful adjustment, the final piece slid into place and the entire puzzle shifted, revealing a glowing symbol of Zira's emblem. A soft hum filled the room and the walls projected a series of lights that danced in celebration. Queen Lysera's voice filled the chamber again, tinged with approval. Remarkable. You have approached the unknown with patience, courage, and insight. Few have done this before. Humans, it seems, possess a spark of creativity that can rival Zira itself. Arik straightened, a small grin spreading across his face. Thank you, Your Majesty. I believe humans are, well, persistent by nature. The Queen's eyes softened slightly. Persistence is valuable. But the puzzle was only the first step. You will now face trials that test your understanding of culture, cooperation, and adaptability. Follow me. They left the chamber and moved through the palace toward a vast observation platform overlooking the city. Below, the streets were alive with movement, Zirans walking gracefully, machines floating silently and energy streams flowing in patterns that seemed almost musical. Your next trial, Lysera said, is to participate in our Festival of Harmony. It is a cultural event that celebrates cooperation between all beings. You must navigate the festival, understand its purpose, and contribute meaningfully. This is a test of social intelligence and empathy. Arik nodded, understanding immediately that this trial would be very different from the puzzle. Human adaptability would be tested not through mechanics but through interaction. He felt a surge of excitement. Humans were natural learners, and he knew that even in an alien culture, observation and kindness could create connections. The festival was breathtaking. The streets were adorned with glowing lanterns floating ribbons of light, and fountains that projected holographic images of Zira's history. Zirans moved with elegance, participating in dances, music, and displays of skill. Arik felt slightly out of place at first, but he reminded himself to observe, adapt, and engage. He noticed a group of young Zirans struggling to coordinate a display of light patterns. Their gestures needed perfect timing, and one small mistake could disrupt the sequence. Arik stepped forward cautiously. Maybe I can help, he offered, showing them a simple technique humans use to synchronize movements. The Zirans hesitated, but curiosity won. They tried his suggestion and the display worked perfectly. Arik smiled, feeling a surge of pride. Humans could often find simple, creative solutions where others became stuck. The Queen, watching from above, noted his approach silently. Next, he participated in a musical challenge. Instruments on Zira responded not just to touch but to thought, reacting to the intention behind the player's movements. Arik closed his eyes and tried to let his human creativity guide him. Slowly, he produced harmonies that blended perfectly with the alien music, drawing impressed looks from the crowd. Once again, humans showed ingenuity, combining imagination with practice. Throughout the day, Arik met Zirans of all ages. He shared stories of Earth, of human history, of struggles and triumphs. He listened to theirs in return. He laughed when they found his descriptions of human life amusing, and he learned from their wisdom in turn. By the end of the festival, he had not only participated but contributed in ways that made a noticeable difference. The crowd, sensing his effort and sincerity, responded with warmth. Queen Lysera descended from her observation point, her presence commanding silence. Captain Arik, she said, you have engaged not just with the puzzles of our minds but with the hearts of our people. You have shown empathy, creativity, and courage. Humans are often underestimated in this regard. Today you have proven that your kind is capable of understanding and contributing to civilizations unlike your own. Arik bowed, feeling a mix of pride and relief. Thank you, Your Majesty. I believe humans have much to offer. We may be small in numbers, but our creativity, persistence, and willingness to learn, these are strengths. The Queen's eyes glimmered with a hint of admiration. Indeed, but your trials are not yet complete. You must now face a test of adaptability. Zira, like all civilizations, faces challenges. You will accompany our engineers to the city's energy hub, which has encountered unexpected disruptions. Your task is to understand the problem and assist in its resolution. Arik followed her with determination. The energy hub was a marvel of alien engineering. Towers of light and energy spiraled upward, linking the city with a network of power that was both beautiful and complex. Xiran engineers moved gracefully, adjusting devices with precision. A sudden surge of energy caused a section of the hub to flicker. Machines hummed irregularly, and Arik noticed that human-style quick thinking might be required. He observed the patterns, noting how energy flowed and where the disruption had begun. Using a combination of logic and intuition, he suggested a sequence of adjustments that could restore balance. The engineers were skeptical at first, but Arik's instructions were clear and precise. Following his guidance, they implemented the changes, and slowly, the energy network stabilized. Lights flowed smoothly, machines hummed in harmony, and the city's glow returned to its normal brilliance. Queen Lysera watched from above. "Remarkable," she said quietly. "Humans can adapt, learn, and solve problems in unfamiliar systems. That is a rare gift." Arik allowed himself a small smile. He had faced challenges of mind, culture, and adaptability, and he had survived each one. More importantly, he had shown that humans, when guided by creativity, courage, and heart, could not only keep up with alien civilizations but also contribute meaningfully. As the sun set over Zira, painting the city in shades of gold and purple, Arik reflected on the day. He had come to prove humanity's worth, and in doing so, he had learned something profound. Respect is earned not through strength but through persistence, empathy, and the willingness to learn. Queen Lysera approached him as the last light faded. "Captain Arik," she said, her tone calm but firm, "you have done well today. Humans are often unpredictable, yet you have shown qualities that inspire respect. Your next trials will challenge you further, but I sense that your kind has a place in Zira's future. Take pride in this achievement, but remember, greater challenges lie ahead." Arik bowed deeply. "I understand, Your Majesty, and I'm ready." Humans don't shy away from challenges. For the first time, the Queen allowed a small smile to cross her face. "Good. Then we shall see how far your kind can go." As night fell over the glowing city, Arik felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had survived the day's trials, earned a measure of respect from a queen unlike any he had ever met, and begun to understand a civilization far beyond human imagination. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. Humans had a spark that the galaxy could not ignore, and he was determined to prove it, one challenge at a time. The stars above Zira twinkled as if in acknowledgement, and Arik felt a surge of determination. The journey was far from over, but he had learned something crucial. Humans could face the unknown and thrive. Their creativity, courage, and adaptability were not weaknesses. They were strengths that could shine even in the most alien worlds. And with that thought, Captain Arik looked toward the horizon, ready for whatever Zira's trials had in store next. Captain Arik awoke the next morning with a mix of excitement and anticipation. The trial so far had tested his mind, his creativity, and his adaptability, and he had survived them all. Yet he knew that the greatest challenges were still ahead. Queen Lysera had mentioned trials of deeper significance, ones that would not only test skill but also character, understanding, and the human capacity for cooperation. After a light breakfast of exotic fruits and beverages, Arik was escorted to a chamber overlooking a vast valley. Below stretched a sprawling forest, dotted with lakes that sparkled like glass. Rivers snaked through the landscape, reflecting the light of Zira's twin suns. At first glance it seemed peaceful and untouched, but Arik sensed there was more than met the eye. "Captain Arik," Queen Lysera said, her voice calm and precise, "your next trial will test your ability to understand and work with our people in a real-world challenge. You will accompany a team of Xiran engineers and caretakers to the Green Core, our planet's primary ecological hub. A disturbance has been detected there, and your task is to help assess and resolve it." Arik felt a surge of excitement. Humans thrived when faced with the unknown, and this mission would be no different. "Understood, Your Majesty," he said. "I'm ready." The journey to the Green Core was breathtaking. The team traveled in sleek floating vehicles that glided effortlessly over the terrain. Along the way, Arik observed Xyrans working seamlessly with the environment. Their movements were graceful, deliberate, and precise. Yet he noticed that even they seemed to respect the unpredictability of nature, leaving space for surprises and adapting as needed. When they arrived, Arik saw the heart of the hub, a massive structure blending seamlessly with the forest. Energy streams flowed like water, Plants of all shapes and colors flourished around the site, and machines hummed softly, maintaining balance and monitoring the ecosystem. Yet something was off. Several sections of the hub flickered and energy flows were uneven. Plants showed unusual stress patterns and the machines emitted warning signals. The team of Xyrans began to investigate immediately, analyzing data and adjusting systems with fluid efficiency. Arik watched, learning quickly. Humans were not always graceful or elegant, but they were determined, resourceful, and imaginative. Drawing on these qualities, he began to observe patterns the Xyrans had overlooked. A subtle imbalance in energy flow that caused certain plants to wither slightly. Captain Arik, one of the senior engineers, said, "Your observation is correct. We noticed fluctuations, but the cause was unclear." "What do you suggest?" Arik thought for a moment, considering the problem from multiple angles. "The energy streams need recalibration, but not just mechanically," he said. "We should adjust the flow patterns to work in harmony with the natural cycles of the plants. If we synchronize them, the hub will stabilize more efficiently." The engineers exchanged glances, surprised by his approach. Humans often relied on ingenuity rather than instinct alone, and Arik's suggestion reflected both creativity and careful observation. Together they implemented his adjustments. Slowly, the energy stabilized, the machines hummed evenly, and the plants began to recover. Queen Lysera watched from a nearby platform. "Remarkable," she said quietly. "Humans have a unique way of seeing solutions that others may miss. Your insight has saved this hub and strengthened the balance of Zira's ecosystem." Arik felt a swell of pride. Humans were often underestimated, yet here he was, demonstrating that their combination of curiosity, creativity, and persistence could make a real difference. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said. "I believe humans can learn and adapt in almost any environment." But the trial was not yet over. The Queen approached him and gestured toward a series of paths leading deeper into the forest. "There is one final aspect to this challenge," she said. "You must work with the local wildlife to restore harmony fully. Zyra's creatures are intelligent and sensitive to changes. You will need empathy, patience, and understanding." Arik's eyes widened slightly. Humans were not always accustomed to communicating with alien creatures, but he welcomed the challenge. "I will do my best," he said. As they moved along the paths, Arik encountered a variety of creatures, some that resembled birds with translucent wings, others like gentle deer with glowing antlers. Many were hesitant, sensing the disturbance in the hub. Arik remembered that humans often succeeded in building trust by remaining calm, observing and responding with gentle actions rather than force. He knelt quietly beside a small creature that seemed frightened. "It's okay," he whispered, extending a hand slowly. The creature studied him, then cautiously approached, nuzzling his palm. Arik smiled. Humans had a natural ability to connect through empathy and patience. Over the next few hours, Arik guided the team in restoring natural habitats, redirecting energy flows to match wildlife patterns, and ensuring that every creature felt safe and secure. He learned to read subtle signals, changes in color, movement, and sound, and adapted his actions accordingly. The forest began to regain its balance, and the creatures grew calm once more. Queen Lysera observed silently, her expression unreadable. Yet Arik sensed a measure of approval in her gaze. Humans, she realized, had a resilience and adaptability that allowed them to interact with unfamiliar ecosystems in ways even Xyrans could not always predict. By late afternoon, the hub was fully restored. Energy flowed evenly, plants thrived, and wildlife moved freely. The engineers looked at Arik with respect, acknowledging that his input had been critical to success. Lysera descended to join him. "Captain Arik," she said, her tone calm but warm, "you have demonstrated not only intelligence and adaptability, but also understanding and empathy. Humans are often seen as unpredictable and impulsive, yet you have shown patience, observation, and care. That is rare, even among the most disciplined of civilizations." Arik felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Humans often succeeded through creativity, courage, and persistence. And here he had shown that even in a world vastly different from Earth, those qualities were invaluable. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said. "Humans are not perfect, but we try. We learn, we adapt, and we care about the world around us." The Queen's eyes softened slightly. "Indeed, today you have earned more than respect. You have earned trust." Zyra's future may yet be enriched by the presence of humans. Arik smiled, feeling the weight of her words. Trust was not given lightly in any civilization, and earning it from a queen as powerful as Lysera was an achievement beyond measure. Yet he knew that the journey was not yet complete. Greater trials awaited, challenges that would test the limits of human courage, ingenuity, and spirit. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden and purple hues across the forest, Arik reflected on the day's events. Humans were often underestimated across the galaxy, yet they had qualities that no other species could replicate. Creativity and problem-solving, courage in the face of the unknown, and an unwavering spirit that could inspire cooperation and unity. Queen Lysera approached him once more. "Captain Arik," she said, "tomorrow you will face your final trial on Zyra. It will test the greatest of human qualities, leadership, courage, and the ability to inspire others. Prepare yourself, for it will demand the best of your kind." Arik straightened, determination shining in his eyes. "I will be ready, Your Majesty. Humans are never satisfied with simply surviving. We strive to do our best and to lift others along the way." The Queen regarded him silently for a moment, then nodded. "Good, rest well, Captain. Tomorrow, we see whether humans can rise to their full potential." As night settled over Zyra, Arik looked at the stars above, feeling a deep sense of connection to the universe. Humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated, yet they had a spark that could illuminate even the darkest corners of the cosmos. He knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humans would face them with courage, intelligence, and heart, and with that thought he closed his eyes, ready to face the final trial, a trial that would define not only his journey on Zyra but also humanity's place in the stars. The morning sun rose over Zyra, casting long beams of golden light across the city. Captain Arik awoke with a sense of purpose. Today would be his final trial, and he could feel the weight of the challenge pressing on him. The Queen had spoken, of leadership, courage, and the ability to inspire others, and Arik knew that this trial would test not only his skills, but the very essence of humanity. He made his way to the palace without hesitation. The streets of Zyra buzzed with life as citizens prepared for the day's events. Arik observed the harmony around him, marveling at how every being contributed to the society's beauty and efficiency. Humans, he thought, might be small and unpredictable, but they possessed a spark that could influence others in ways even the most advanced civilizations could not. Queen Lysera awaited him in the central chamber, her posture regal, her eyes sharp yet thoughtful. "Captain Arik," she said, "today's trial will not involve puzzles, festivals, or ecological challenges. Today, you must lead a mission beyond Zyra's capital, into the outer expanse, where anomalies in the planet's energy network threaten both our technology and the natural balance. You will work with a team of Zyrans, and your success will depend on your ability to guide them, make decisions, and inspire confidence under pressure." Arik nodded. He had faced tests of intellect, empathy, and adaptability, and now it was time to demonstrate leadership. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will do my best to lead and to earn the trust of your people." The Queen's gaze softened slightly. "Humans often underestimate the power of unity and guidance. Let us see if your kind can rise to this challenge." The mission began with a journey through the floating transport channels that connected Zyra to its outer expanse. As the team approached the anomaly site, Arik could see why the Queen had chosen this as the final test. Energy streams flickered, unpredictably, and some of the machinery that regulated the planet's balance was unstable. Even the Zyran engineers seemed cautious, aware of the potential consequences of a single misstep. Arik stepped forward confidently. "All right, team," he said, his voice steady. "We have a complex problem, but humans are good at adapting and thinking creatively. Let's observe first, plan carefully, and then act decisively. Everyone's input matters, and together, we can restore balance." The team responded with a mixture of curiosity and trust. Humans were known for boldness, and Arik's calm confidence encouraged them to cooperate fully. He divided tasks, assigning Zyrans to monitor energy flows, analyze patterns, and stabilize critical machinery, while he coordinated communication and troubleshooting. Hours passed as they worked tirelessly. Energy streams continued to fluctuate, and a sudden surge caused part of the network to flicker dangerously. Arik reacted immediately, guiding the team through a series of adjustments. His mind raced, analyzing patterns, predicting outcomes, and adapting strategies on the fly. At one point, a machine began to fail unexpectedly. The Xiran engineers hesitated, unsure of the next step. Arik stepped forward, placing his hands on the control panel. "Trust the process," he said. "Follow my lead. Sometimes the solution comes from taking a calculated risk." With careful guidance, the engineers implemented his instructions. Slowly, the machine stabilized, the energy streams returned to normal, and the surrounding systems began to hum with balance. Arik's human instinct for creativity and decisive action had saved the day. The Queen observed from a distance, silently, noting his ability to inspire confidence, remain calm under pressure, and lead a team toward success. Humans, she realized, possessed qualities that were not only useful, but essential in situations where adaptability and courage were required simultaneously. As the mission continued, Arik noticed a small group of Xiran technicians struggling to coordinate a delicate adjustment. Their timing was off, and even a minor mistake could cause a cascade of failures. Arik stepped in, demonstrating a simple synchronization technique he had learned from humans centuries ago. The team followed his lead, and the adjustment succeeded flawlessly. "You see," he said quietly to the technicians, "sometimes the solution is not in raw skill alone, but in working together and trusting each other." By the time the mission concluded, the outer expanse was stabilized. Energy flows were, even machines hummed in harmony, and the natural balance of Xira had been preserved. The Xiran team looked at Arik with admiration and respect. His leadership had transformed a challenging situation into a success story. Queen Lysera approached him as the last light of the twin suns illuminated the landscape. "Captain Arik," she said, her voice carrying both pride and authority, "you have demonstrated what few humans ever show. Intelligence, courage, creativity, empathy, and above all, leadership. You have inspired your team, restored balance to our planet, and proven that humans can rise to challenges far beyond their world." Arik bowed deeply. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Humans may be small and unpredictable, but we strive to do our best, to learn, and to help wherever we can. Today I only followed that instinct." The Queen regarded him thoughtfully. "And yet, by doing so, you have proven that your kind is capable of greatness. Humans are often underestimated, but they have qualities that no other species possesses: creativity, courage, and an indomitable spirit. Xira will benefit from the presence of humans in ways we could not have imagined." Arik felt a swell of pride. Humans had always thrived by facing the unknown, adapting, and working together. That same spirit had earned him the Queen's trust and admiration. He realized that the trials on Xira had not only tested his abilities, but had also highlighted humanity's unique strengths. As the team returned to the palace, Arik reflected on the journey. From the moment he had landed on Xira to now, he had faced challenges of intellect, empathy, adaptability, and leadership. Each trial had tested a different aspect of human potential, and each time he had proven that humans could rise to any occasion. In the grand hall, Queen Lysera awaited him. She extended a hand, a gesture of acknowledgement and respect. "Captain Arik, your trials are complete. You have shown that humans possess qualities that are valuable, even in a civilization as advanced as Xira. We welcome you not just as a guest, but as a partner." Arik shook her hand firmly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. It has been an honor to learn from Xira and to contribute where I could. I hope this is the beginning of a long partnership between our peoples." The Queen's eyes gleamed with approval. "Indeed, Captain. Your presence has reminded us that strength is not measured only by power or technology, but by courage, creativity, and the willingness to inspire and uplift others. Humans have proven they can do all these things and more." Arik looked around the hall, noticing Xirans of all ages observing him. Some nodded with respect, others smiled with curiosity, and all seemed to acknowledge the role humans could play in the galaxy. He felt a profound sense of pride, not for himself alone, but for humanity as a whole. Humans had a place among the stars, and now, Zira would be a part of that story. Later, in a quiet moment, Arik and Queen Lysera stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns cast long shadows and the floating gardens glimmered like jewels in the evening light. "You have done well, Captain Arik," the queen said softly. "Your kind is unpredictable, often impulsive, yet full of spirit. That spirit has earned our respect," Arik smiled. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Humans may be small, but we have something that can make a difference anywhere in the galaxy. Our courage, our creativity, and our willingness to learn from every challenge." Lysera looked out at the horizon, her expression thoughtful. "Perhaps that is why your people have survived so far and thrived. You take risks, adapt, and inspire others. Zira will remember this day, and so will I." As night fell over the city, Arik realized that his journey on Zira had changed him. He had faced trials that tested every aspect of his being, earned the respect of a queen and her people, and proven that humans, despite their imperfections, could shine brightly among the stars. He also knew that this was only the beginning. Humans had a long road ahead in the galaxy, filled with challenges, discoveries, and opportunities to demonstrate their ingenuity and courage. But for now, Arik allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. He had represented humanity with honor, skill, and heart, and he had succeeded. Looking at Queen Lysera, he felt a connection that went beyond protocol or diplomacy. There was mutual respect, a recognition of shared values, and a hint of curiosity about what humans and Zirans could achieve together. The Queen finally turned to him. "Captain Arik, the galaxy is vast and full of possibilities. Your people have proven that they can rise to challenges that others might fear. Perhaps one day, humans and Zirans will explore." Arik nodded, feeling the weight and promise of her words. "I would be honored, Your Majesty. Humans are ready to face the unknown, and we do not shy away from challenges. Together, we can achieve more than we ever could alone." As the stars sparkled above Zira, Arik felt a profound sense of hope. Humans, small but determined, had proven themselves worthy of the galaxy's trust and admiration. And with that realization, he knew that the adventure was far from over. It was only just beginning. The trials had ended, but the story of humans, and Zira was only beginning. A story of courage, creativity, and partnership that would shine across the stars for cycles to come. Captain Arik smiled.